We go from the pit lane where we're looking at Alfas and Renaults to straight out onto track now as the field for the Alfa Challenge, the 2019 Alfa Challenge of Veloce Racing Series. And it's been a long weekend already for some of these Alfas. Some of them aren't exactly new showroom standard ones like we've got with the Veloce down there in pit lane with the TCR cars. Some of them are quite old, from the 60s, 70s and 80s, the glory days of Alfas in European touring car trim right around the world. Daniel Gatto proved to be the best out there earlier on for pole position with a 147.37. Michael Musumeci in the number 17 at 149.29. So a clear gap there for pole position for Daniel Gatto. Then we go to Enzo Piazza, then Alfio Musumeci, Michael Ahrens, Robert Cerruti, Darren Harris, Matt McGrath, David Capiro, Mark Barragatto, Frank Caglione, Doug Selwood, Robert Panetta, Craig Moody in the 3.2-litre V6 engined outfit coming out of Alfa Performance in a little quiet southeastern suburb in Clayton in Melbourne. So we're keeping a good eye on the Craig Moody car coming out of position at number 14 with support from Alfa Performance. Then it's Marco Crisfulli, John Caligano, Colin Connaughton, George Piazza. Good Alfa Racing name, that one. Andrew Wilson, Antonio Strana, Brad Wilson, John Burkhardt, Urs Muller, Leon Saliba, Richard McKee and David McKee, rounding out a strong field of 26 cars. And there they go, coming around the Sydney Motorsport Park layout. And boy, oh boy, if you're going to have an Alfa, that's the one there, the GDV6. And big g'day to Tony Ricciardello, 10 times Australian Sports Sedan champion in his red Alfa Romeo. That's wildly modified compared to these cars. A lot of these cars just running your R-Spec tyres. In fact, all of them running an R-Spec tyre. So they are in a racing trim, but coming down to take the front row of the grid. 99% New South Wales competitors here, Cameron. That white number 15 coming out of Victoria. So I guess if you're from New South Wales, you've got the field covered. But if you're from Victoria, the third row of the grid's where you're barracking for that white GTV.
And we promise not to be too parochial as we watch this. I know Emma Nota Francesco, with that surname, will be hanging over a fence, drooling over these cars as well. Race 1 for the Alfa Romeo Challenge, the Alfa Challenge for 2019. Darren Smith, cars all lined up and we are set to go racing.
Good field of cars here, 26 cars. The Veloce series is very, very strong here in New South Wales. And why wouldn't be? Fits beautifully with the Shannons insurance sign right there. That's why they get involved. They're for the enthusiast. And so are these Alfa races. Great to see them. Some of these 105s, some of these cars down the grid, those two doors off the back of shot here. Some of these cars are exceptionally well valued these days, and putting them out on a racetrack is always a risk because this will get a little bit willing, but it's enthusiast racing, so they'll try not to hit each other too much. But it's Gatto that gets away nicely from Musumeci. The Victorian in the number 51 jumps away strongly. That's Michael Ahrens as well, goes to the inside but gets gazumped. In fact, almost got a mirror torn off by the number 15 on his way through there. That's David Capiro, who won a race here 2 years ago in the Veloce series. He just about gave him the short back and sides up against the wall. I said it was enthusiast gentleman racing, but they've proven me wrong off the grid.
Looking at the outside line down into turn 2, you can see it's dusty, and one running wide there as well. But Gatto continues to control this race out in front, just trying to find that nice rhythm, that position in the order, as Gatto from Musumeci, Piazza, and Musumeci is up in 4th as well. As Capraro, you mentioned before, big start. He's up into 5th place.
The number 623 there as well, Darren Harris, a winner in the Veloce series as well. The number 28, this is one of the nicest looking GTV6s that you get out there. It's almost like it could win a show as well. It's definitely in showroom standard, and being that it's a panel shop that it comes out of, they do keep it looking very, very nicely indeed. Alfio Musumeci now with Michael Ahrens being pushed back a little bit there. Here's a couple of the 105s that start to appear inside the top 10 there. So Darren Harris, McGrath, those cars are the more traditional Alfas, the number 477 there. The SB, the Group SB car, so multiple ability to race that car in Group S type racing. So it's really good to see that car in there. Very, very valuable piece of kit those 105s are these days.
Capraro, the driver, on the move. He's on screen at the moment, now up into 4th place. Sets after Cerruti. I will get my Italian enunciation better by the end of the weekend.
Not bad for a Scottish Dutchman there, Cam. You're working out well.
So Gatto sets the fastest time at 6:17.8. So that's a 2-second gap over Musumeci, Class A car, being chased down by a Class B car. But Capraro, he will set after them as they look down to turn 1.
Moving around on these Aspect tyres through turn 1 here at Eastern Creek, Sydney Motorsport Park as well. Cars just starting to get the temperature into these Aspects. They essentially are a Targa type tyre. You can certainly use these on the road. They won't last you a trip up and down the eastern seaboard of Australia, but they'll certainly do very, very well in a racing trim. It's Gatto to Musumeci, Capraro, Cerretti on. Musumeci getting on through there as well. The number 18 of Cerretti going through. So that was Enzo Piazza. And the number 68 in the wall, that's Strano. Gone in the wall. That's at turn 1. That would not be a nice ride there to end up on the inside wall. So a bit of damage there. Yellows. Now, will we see a safety car, or is that far enough out of potential harm's way? Steve Priesau, Clark, of course, here this weekend. Massively experienced. We'll be talking to the officials trackside locally down there because they won't have a view of that from the race control tower.
He is right up against the wall on the inside. They may well keep this one under yellow and just see how the drivers behave, as Capraro, who holds the race lap record here with a 149.16 from last year, purple sector after purple sector. So Capraro on the move now after Musumeci. We've got a board out. The safety car has been called. So safety car has been called. Just thought, I think race control looked at it and went turn 1. It's such a quick turn. You've got a few amateur drivers in there. And Darren Smith, your years of racing back many, many years ago in Mazdas, you'd remember that on those high-speed corners, if you do get a bit loose on the exit, it can certainly spit you to the inside of the circuit. Yeah,
certainly can, particularly here at turn 1. I remember a particular little Lotus Elise that got loose in there, and also a car that Mark Scaife was at the wheel of, and a couple of both nasty accidents at the end there. So being that these guys are amateur racers, enthusiast racers, the nullifying the race, I guess, is probably the safest way to go. Interesting that you hark back into motorsport from years ago, Cam. There was no such thing as a safety car then. They just had yellow flags, and all that meant was catch up to the car in front. So the advent of the safety car has certainly made sure that things are nice and safe trackside when we put officials out trackside these days.
Great to see Hyundai on board as well with the safety car this weekend for Shannons Nationals. If you remember, if you want to join in the conversation, hashtag SN19. Formula 4 Australia, they do love to use the social media, and Lewis Leeds has been dominant there. Great to see him back from Europe and back in an open wheeler and dominating out there in the Formula 4 category. These cars look fantastic. The first step on the pathway to Formula 1, Darren.
Certainly, yeah. The Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship is going along all right. There's been some changes in the background with Formula 4 in the last couple of weeks, so we watch with anticipation to see that championship grow. Reece van der Side, Inside Media, nothing quite like a racetrack sunset. Some good shots there out of practice yesterday from Reece, and there he is. No one other than at Crailsy1.
From a professional photographer to a guy who thinks he's a professional photographer, but we might keep him behind a microphone at the moment, don't you think? The Oz Prototype Series, I love these cars. If you speak to most of the guys that are professional race car drivers, they've spent a bit of time driver coaching in that series over the years. They love them. Cup Challenge Australia as well. We've seen some wonderful action, and don't forget the Shannons Nats there. But if you remember, hashtag SN19. Good to see Carl Reindler there. Now, Carl has been a driving standards advisor to this category over the years, but he's also employed by MSR. MSR have taken over the category management of Formula 4 this year. So Carl Reindler now has a much more hands-on role with this category as a podium getter back in the A1 Grand Prix days, was a champion in Australian Formula 3. So a great deal of experience in open wheel categories over the years is Carl Reindler.
And certainly Carl had a fair whack of time in the main game for supercars as well. I guess punctuated by a horrible accident in Western Australia where Steve Owen went into the back of his car, and it was a nasty, nasty fire. But Carl has certainly made a profession out of motorsport now. I guess he's handing the wheel over. That's nothing a race driver ever really wants to do, is hand the wheel over to someone else to have a go of. But he's stayed a pro in the motorsport business, if you like. But certainly was an absolute dab hand of it in Australian Formula 3 and A1 Grand Prix. That the track record still here at Sydney Motorsport Park is held by Nico Hulkenberg in one of those A1 GP cars going back many, many years ago now. Cars still on track, under control with the Hyundai Sydney Motorsport Park safety car. And they are trundling around in this, which is supposed to be about a 10-lap race, I guess, over 20 minutes. It will be certainly shortened competitively because of that. We've got a very, very tight program. Coming up next is the prototypes, and then, of course, we go back into the CAMS Pace Australian Formula 4 Championship, which is the cars we've just seen in the paddock area there. There's that car, the number 68, going onto the back of a tilt tray. That's the worst way to leave a racetrack, that. It really is. As Alan Moffat used to say at Bathurst, you'd sit there and you'd wait for the vultures just to come and pick your car up from the side of the track. So always called the tow truck the vultures after Alan Moffat made reference to them.
A special shout out to all of our friends in recovery as well. Thank you very much, Darren.
G'day, guys and girls. Thanks for fronting up to the track, but you are the vultures. You come and collect up the rubbish.
It is a good opportunity for us to say a very special thank you to all the volunteer officials. I know there'll be a few of them in on our live stream as well around the country. A lot of interest this weekend in the first round of the Shannons Nationals, but we appreciate everything you do. And look at the weather we got out here. We don't often put on great weather for the officials, but Sydney Motorsport Park has delivered today. Now, great to see people starting to line up the stands here. I'm expecting a decent crowd. I believe quite a few people rolled in yesterday before we started our live stream, and coming in this morning, the queue to get in was massive. This is great to see at the Shannons Nationals, and
it's kind of a warning to the tracks that we're going to next. Phillip Island for the next round, Tailem Bend. Maybe put a couple of extra gate staff on so we can get the people through. I think we know in the morning.
A few of them at Phillip Island, don't we, Darren, as well?
They'll love that call out. Thanks, Lynn.
So let's have a look at some of the highlights from the start of this race. There's not too many because we were pretty much under safety car from the outset, but you picked it early on, and that was the start of Capraro. A very quick driver. Watch for the number 15. Look at him go to the inside, then swung to the outside. That is a car currently sitting in third, and I think this safety car, if we get it green again, will be a potential race winner.
Interesting, Enzo Piazza in the number 28 got a good start there as well in that red GTV 6 there as well. Enzo didn't practice yesterday, so he's done very, very well to qualify where he did. He got qualified off the second row of the grid. Sort of got gazumped a little bit. It's like he grabbed third gear and it just gave him the extra push along to get going. But Daniel Gatto again this year in that light blue GTV has done a tremendous job pushing to the front. Good look down there in the 477 with McGrath. It's the older car down there, and he's doing very, very well. As we go down to Aaron Noonan in pit lane.
Well, Darren, while you've got a safety car out on track here at Sydney Motorsport Park, I thought I'd bring you back into the pit lane, have a look at some more TCR Australia Series cars. Here is Nathan Morecambe's Hyundai, car number 11. The Hyundais were the really fast cars, and I'm just going to pop around the side here and have a good close look at these cars. There are two in the garage here from the HMO Customer Racing operation. Will Brown's in the other car, and they've been really pacey so far this weekend. Remember, the first race is coming up at 2 p.m. this afternoon, downloading some data and checking out how things have been performing. In fact, the driver's hanging out the front here, actually. Nathan, what's for lunch?
Oh, getting the old chicken roll, getting the good old healthy, fresh stuff into us. Have a good look at it.
You've got to make sure that you don't put on too many kilos before you jump in the car. Hey, we saw some in-car review in qualifying turn 1. Whoa, you were hanging on to that number 11 car there a couple of times.
She definitely is. With these front-wheel drives, everything, all the vibration comes straight through the steer, so that the rears, to be honest, is just like a canoe. It's hanging on there, going wherever the front goes, but you still got to hold on to it. But these cars, these 2 little turbos, they're just an awesome bunch of fun out there, and can't wait to get out there this afternoon and start racing.
You're going to have to be careful in a race over 30 minutes to look after those front tyres, because it's going to be very easy to stand on that throttle. Will you have to conserve a little bit to make sure you get through with a competitive package?
I think we will. Sydney Motorsport Park is a great facility, but definitely rough on the tyres, and being all front, we're definitely going to have to look after tyres, but it's all unknown to everybody. I don't think there's maybe 1 or 2 people that race them overseas, but everybody else, blue is fresh, so...
That's what we're looking forward to. No one really knows what we're going to get. Good to see you. Keep tucking into that lunch before we get ready for race 1 of the car sales, TCR Australia Series. 2 p.m, plenty of work. Teams getting their cars nice and ready ahead of the 30-minute sprint race that we have coming up this afternoon. TCR Australia is a sprint racing series, so it's short, sharp, fast and to the point. Looking forward to getting these cars on the track a little bit later on.
Thanks very much, Aaron Noonan. We'll be back trackside here for more Alfa Challenge Veloce Alfa Racing in just a few moments.
Motoring's the easiest all my life. My life is hot rods, designing them, building them, and racing.
Hand-built with a stainless steel roof.
It won the Monte Carlo Rally 4 times.
Like Dad, I've always been a Ford man.
In '71, this was the fastest four-door car in the world.
Insurance? Shannons, of course.
Every day, 3,500 lives are lost on roads around the world. Driving can be dangerous, but there are simple rules we can follow that will make our roads safer and save lives. Slow down for kids. Don't text and drive. Always pay attention. Obey the speed limits. Stop when you're tired. Never drink and drive. Check your tires.
Back here, we're back underway. Safety car in, tucked up, and the Alphas have swapped positions out in front. Michael Musumeci on the restart, got through on Gatto, and Capraro's in hot pursuit there as well. This is the newest car in the field, the car number 17 of Michael Musumeci. And I guess the field of classic Alphas is bunching up behind him here at the moment, but really caught him napping on that restart there. So Michael Musumeci getting underway. Have a look at Gatto now. Down the inside. Got to say nice things about Gatto with that surname. Stay on top of things there.
Don't worry, we are in New South Wales at the moment. It's okay. I'm surprised that Capraro didn't stay with the rear of them. Darren, back in your days on the radio, you would have been right into the driver for falling asleep on a restart as Capraro drops off, although he's finding the speed now. Great to see old versus new, Class A versus Class B. Gatto controlling this race with 1:30 to run.
So this is going to be just like a club sprint. They'll have to dig deep like they're just out here for a quiet old club day and really push hard here. And it is Gatto that's certainly getting underway, and Capraro in the number 15's ranging. Enzo Piazza hasn't been able to jump away from the restart as much as he was going well early on that race. And then it's Alfio Musumeci in the number 5, back to Darren Harris, who did a terrific job here 2 years ago, won a race. And here comes the sole standing Victorian in the number 51, Aarons, who started off the second row of the grid. The beautiful 105 there, the GTV 477. Very interesting number. Must have been a very big weekend when there was 477 cars in the field. As that rounds out our top 10. The number 55 there with Selwood as well. As we come down, I would suggest this is probably going to be our last lap, 45 seconds. Time certain racing as part of the Shannons Nationals in 2019, so I would expect that we probably see the checkered flag come out next lap around. Don't quote me on that. I'm just going off what the timesheet says.
Yeah, we may well get one additional lap when the clock counts down. So we're not far away from ending the official time on this session. And it must be noted that Capraro, as we see Musumeci get a 5-second penalty. So a 5-second
must
penalty
have jumped that restart
for Musumeci there. But the 1:47.7 is a new lap record for Capraro, the first driver as part of the Alfa Challenge to go sub 48s.
So that's the car that's sitting in third in this shot now and pushing hard. We'll obviously graduate to P2, being that Michael Musumeci, I would suggest, Cameron, an overlap on the restart there. So the officials love to all watch these restarts to make sure no one's overlapping or gaining an advantage. It's not like what we see on TV with the supercars, where once the green goes, we all go. In the CAMS manual, it clearly states that you cannot overlap until you hit the control line, being the start-finish line here in the main straight, right opposite the race control tower. So there'll be plenty of the senior officials watching that.
So that is Capraro in second on your screen right now. We've run out of time. The checkered flag is in hand right out front of our commentary box. So Gatto should, if he can get the last corner right, head down the straight as we look at number 3 or position 3 on screen. But it'll be Gatto that takes the checkered flag. Class A car, number 186. Congratulations, that is race 1 for the 2019 Alfa Challenge Veloce. as Capraro comes in second and Musumeci in third. But a 5-second penalty. Let's keep an eye on this time. Is Piazza able to get inside that
He
time?
will.
Yes, he does. So Musumeci will go back to 4th place.
So that's a real shame. Must concentrate on these restarts. Really is a really, that's a hard juggling act, that one, to stay right up the exhaust pipe in front of you and not overlap, because you get that nice hole in the air and you get a couple of hundred revs a bit higher than the car in front of you, but you've just got to be absolutely on the throttle, modulated as you have to be able to get away from that restart. Moody also getting, after having a bit of an off earlier on, also getting a 5-second penalty in there as well. So I would also suggest that is for a restart, a missed restart there as well. He comes down through the field now. We get the cars streaming across the line. That'll be McKee and Piazza, George Piazza. Then comes Leon Saliba, David McKee, and that is the entire field gone through there as we wave goodbye to the live pictures for the Alfa Romeos. It's Daniel Gatto for the Get Concreted car is in position number 1. David Capraro, the Austrite Industries, Michael Musumeci, Ray White Haverfield, Enzo Piazza, Alfio Musumeci, Darren Harris, Robert Ceriti, Michael Aaron, Matt McGrath and Mark Bagetto rounding out our 10.